behind. Bad bitches, every city in my tribe. Look behind. Booty dominate.
Oh, so did you get your fire detector, your smoke alarm fixed? Please tell me yes.
Not the fire detector.
You know, I had to come in here, right? You know, I had to do it.
You
I
had
had
to?
to. I had, yeah.
Why?
First, I was just gonna sit on the sideline and do nothing, but I'm like, it's awfully quiet in here, so I said, well, why not?
Miss Sanvi did request.
I did.
I
How y'all
did.
doing
I
today,
did.
though? How are y'all doing today?
We are
Good.
just
How
here
are you?
living life.
Exactly. There's nothing wrong with that, and I feel you. But I wanna, before I get to the abortion, I want to focus on the gender roles. I had to focus on that first. I'll probably get to the whole my pro life position in a minute, but I want to focus on gender roles, and I want to ask the
Yeah,
host.
well,
Or
I'm sure your misogyny is like intertwined with being pro-life, so we could do that.
oh no,
Okay.
I would fundamentally disagree with that. I think most people think my views are misogynistic. I'm not prejudiced against or hate women, although me having sort of an idea that traditional roles should sort of be adhered to. You know, I think people would disagree with it and say it's misogynistic, but it's not. But we'll talk about
I
it.
mean, if most people are saying that, then it probably is. But go on.
Well. Just because somebody says something doesn't mean that it's true, though.
I was
You know,
about to
a lot
say
of people say
slavery
that.
argument in
All
three,
right. Let's
two.
just go. I'm sure Osa will show us either if he's misogynistic or
Oh,
not.
yeah. That's all good. So I want to ask either the host or anyone in the panel what their view of traditional gender roles is, and I kind of want to go from there.
What do you mean? Like you want me
no,
to like define it and describe it?
no, just
Or do you,
what you think
what my
of
opinion is?
of what it means to have traditional gender roles. Because would you be against that? And if so, I wanted to figure out and understand why. I guess
Well,
your
what's
perspective
a
at
Yes,
least.
I
traditional
think
gender
the
role?
gender roles that society has constructed are to benefit men.
Okay, you think so? You think is that all? Do you think it's just solely to benefit men, but it's not beneficial for women?
Currently, yes, because if we look at statistically the different types of demographics that, in terms of happiness, the
Mhm.
demographic where men are the happiest are married men with children, and the demographic where women are the happiest are single women without children.
Okay, so you think women aren't happy who being married and having a husband, having children? You think they're not married happy doing that?
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, okay, no, I wanted to understand.
I said that
I wanted to
single
understand.
women statistically are happier. And I
Really,
think
you
that's
think so?
because the traditional nuclear family roles are designed to benefit men.
So you think okay? So let's go there. So you think nowadays women are more happy or single without kids?
Yep.
Would you say?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
and
what the
also
statistics show.
lesbian couples.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Coming in,
Okay.
zombie,
So
coming in.
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay, so I'll address that in a minute. So my view is, like I said, it may be people might say it's misogynistic, but I don't think that it is. You know, because the definition of misogyny is the prejudice and hatred of women. I don't hate women. I don't think it's a wrong thing to adhere to what we refer to as traditional gender roles. Now, granted, you might have some women that they might be happy. Uh, pursuing a career or being single, of course. You have the few that don't really want kids. You have the few, but I think ultimately speaking, in order to really build a society forward, then I think it's important to have a nuclear family structure. And if you don't have it, then you can't build a society because you can't build a community without building a society. You can't build a society without building a family. And I think we've built our society over the last hundreds of thousands of millions of years based on that traditional framework. And I think if you want to now reverse that, I think it will have unintended consequences.
I don't know about that. I mean, you can absolutely build a family without even being biologically related to one another. I think a community would definitely matter more, and realms of social safety nets that protect those people would definitely build a sense of community amongst them.
And I'll even say this too. Like again, we live sort of in a different world now, a different time. You have more women who are now sort of on this sort of idea where they're seeking independence and seeking more so after an education, and they're sort of fighting against the whole idea of what it means to be a traditional woman, because to them, being a traditional woman basically means, okay, you're a slave pretty much at home in the kitchen. You don't have a career. You're pretty much under the man. And so I believe what's happened is that you have women nowadays who have pushed against that. And so I believe that's to the host point. I believe that's why more women are opting to have independence and more so opting to pursue careers for that
You
reason.
seem to view that as a bad thing, though, and I'm curious to
Well,
know as to why that
Yeah,
is.
like I would agree with
well,
you, but I
okay.
think that's great that women no longer like need men.
Well, I think, well, I'll say this: you still need men to build society. However, as
I'm
far as
talking
having a
about in a relationship, like when and I will say this is kind of the issue that I have with people who have the traditional gender roles is that
Mhm.
men, like right now, women want more and men aren't pivoting.
Okay, so let me ask you. So when you say want more, what does that mean for you? When you say want more, what does that mean?
Like, we don't need men to protect us. We don't need men to provide for us. We're about emotional connection, common interests, common goals. It's not necessarily this binary role. Even if you
Well,
look at the traditional nuclear family, the reason that it benefits men is because men essentially, when they have a wife, have a person who is equivalent to almost a $200,000 employment team through like daycare services, home management services, a personal chef. And overall, women actually make up more unpaid labor than men. And men have, on average, 6 times more leisure time than women.
well,
So,
I'll say I
yes,
want.
this structure I think you like because it benefits you.
Also,
Well,
domestic
no,
abuse
oh, go
is
ahead.
10 times higher in spousal relationships.
Also,
Well,
this like I feel like the point is being proven in the comments because somebody goes, "You don't need men to protect you." Okay,
well,
like
Yeah, I
is
here's the
that a
thing.
don't.
threat?
Like,
Okay,
I don't need a man to protect me from what? Like, I can protect myself. And from what?
okay,
Other
so
men?
well, I want to focus on a comment that you said earlier about my view as as far as a traditional family framework is concerned, and I think either it was you or I think Jaden said where I think that changing that is a bad thing. And so I
Yeah.
want to focus on that. I think
Okay.
ultimately, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And when we make sort of social changes to a lot of these structures, I think that there are unintended consequences. Now, you mentioned something about not
Conjecture.
needing men. Yeah. So, well, ultimately, because there was a comment that's being made that people say, okay, you don't need men. Well, to build society, you do. You really do. And
Right.
also, to protect our society, you do. And that's
Yeah,
why more
wow.
men die in wars than
Can we
How?
women
take this
do.
one point at a time, though? You're saying that it's going to have unintended consequences. That's conjecture. So you
Absolutely.
have to prove
You
that there
say so.
are.
You've just
Absolutely.
said such
Absolutely it
general
is.
statements, but you haven't really
Right.
supported the claim.
So
Well,
back
no,
that
it's
up.
just
What unintended consequences are going to result in people having more independence?
well, no, it's not having more independence. It's the idea of switching the gender roles and saying that men are invalid. Because what I've seen within the
No,
last few
that's
That's
years
not
is
not what
That
that
switching.
is
What
no.
the
not what
fuck?
we said at
That's
all.
okay,
abolishing
well,
gender roles.
elaborate. What did you
Abolishing
say?
them.
We're talking
Abolishing
about
them.
abolishing them, not switching them.
Yeah, I don't think like I think
Uh-huh.
men are actually more than just protectors and providers. And I think they have been
Mhm.
conditioned to exempt certain behaviors when it comes to like stoicism and when it comes to competition, aggressive dominance. Like men have been told this is how you need to be, and it's not true.
I think, but the whole idea of gender roles, I don't think it's just something that just came out of a vacuum. I think what we
No,
refer
yeah,
to as
men
gender
created
roles
it
was
because
based out
they
of
wanted essentially
no,
someone to do all the shit for them. Like that's what
no.
it
It
is.
wasn't. It wasn't just men who created it. You wanted me to tell you who created it? It was a product of nature and our own biology. That's really what created it. Why? Why do I say that? Because there are biological differences. Now, when men and women are equal in one thing. Do you know what that is? They're equal in their capacity, which means if a man is an architect, a woman can be the architect just as easily. If pretty much for the most part, a woman has the same capacity as a man. However, they're going
But
to
what is the
be but
confounder that separates the two? opportunity.
No,
Women are
no, I'm about
denied
to get to
jobs
that.
more often. Women are.
I
Go
know. I'm
ahead.
about to get to. I'm about to get to that in a minute. You're talking about the patriarchy, but I'm gonna get to that in a minute. I'm saying, in regards to the gender roles, these things are weren't necessarily came out of a vacuum. They were brought forth as a result of our biology because there are biological differences between the two. That's why men, for the most part, were going to be the hunters and the gatherers because it was very difficult for a woman to do this because why? She had to bear forth the children
No, it
because
wasn't.
but yeah, because out of four, and this is back, in the ancient times, right?
No.
So out of 40 weeks out the year, if she's pregnant, she's not going to be able to do it. So it's the man's job to be able to do it.
Yes,
That's where
she
the whole
can.
concept of
Stop saying that
this
like
is where
pregnant women are
hold,
weak.
hold on a second, though. Hold on a second. There's a reason. I'm not saying they're weak, but there's a reason why women have maternity leave, and that's totally fine. That's fine. That's okay. What I'm saying is
Right.
that
Maternity
there.
leave, though, is different than being pregnant.
Well, why did she? Okay, why did she leave the job after maternity leave? She's having a baby, right?
Oftentimes they're fired.
She's pregnant,
Actually,
right? Huh?
more often
Yes,
than
but
not, they're fired.
there are reasons that you want your body to rest after giving labor
Yeah. Well,
or
yeah.
giving
But my
birth.
thing is, but what I'm saying is that because of the fact that a woman can get pregnant, it's extremely difficult for her to hunt. That's why it was the man's
It's
job
not.
to be the
It's not.
hunter and the gatherer. And you can go back to
It's
ancient
actually
history
not
in any
because the
textbook.
reason that men have
Mhm.
nipples is because during those times men also breastfed. It was actually a turn.
No,
Yes,
no.
women and men actually took turns hunting and gathering and taking care of children.
No,
True.
but what I'm saying is
We've simply
the
evolved
man,
past that point.
That is
it was
true.
his job primarily to do it. And this was based on geology. You can go back to ancient textbook with the ancient Mesopotamians, ancient Israelites, Greeks, Romans, and they will show you this. Okay. So
You're
that's what I'm
just
saying.
giving
That's
me
where
naturalistic fallacies. I mean, I'm sure that you
it's not
recognize
naturalistic.
that the way the government was ran during those times, we don't run society that same way. So we can evolve along with how society is evolving.
But that's the issue, though. Like I said, my issue is not society changing for the better. My issue is, okay, the direction in which we're going, because people say, okay, we need to eliminate the gender roles. Okay, if that's the case, then what's the after effect of that? Okay, how about instead of men going to war, let's put women to war. Men was
Sure.
the protectors, right? And so you want to, okay, that's what I'm saying. And so you want to change that. Okay, so let's say
Well, I
you
don't want
say,
anyone
okay,
to go to war personally.
No, we're not talking about
uh-huh.
replacement. We're talking about inclusivity
No, there's that, but that's the gender
and
roles,
leveling
though.
the
The
playing
gender
field here.
roles was let's think about it. The gender roles
Again,
is
we're not
that the
talking
men are
about
the protectors.
reversing them. We're talking about
No, but
including
you said
them.
abolish them, though. So if you're abolishing them, then you're
Abolish
changing them.
gender roles.
Yes, exactly. So if
Saying
the
that this
man
shouldn't be a
is
man's job, but that's not saying kick out all men from the military. You recognize the difference?
Personally, I
no,
don't
no.
think anyone should have to fight in a war when they don't want to. Like, that's against your bodily autonomy and consent. So, man or woman, we should abolish the draft, period.
No, but at some point, there may be a war, whether we like it or not, because I live in the real world, and if at some point we're gonna have to protect our
And
society
see,
some type of way.
if you live in the real world, our next war is probably going to be nuclear. So there's not much we're going to be able to do.
Yeah, because again, people say, getting rid of gender roles, and I don't think they realize what they're saying. Like the Ukraine. Do you know what they did in the Ukraine? It was the men taking care of the children and the women. They said, women, children, you got to get out of here. Us men, we got to protect. So in alternate reality, you want people to abolish
It's
that. You get what I'm
misogynistic.
saying? That's
That's
not
just
misogynistic.
misogynistic.
That's
Yeah,
happened.
because
That's
it's
not
practices
misogynistic.
against women or an ingrained biases where women are incapable of doing something. I would argue that women have just as many strengths when it comes to war in terms of strategy and tactological advances.
I'm so fucking cute, bitch. I'm so fucking cute.